This is Travis in the Uncanny Valley. I'm going to try and do videos that are on a singular issue, um, and then I'll deal with the interconnectedness of that uh, later. This one is about face blindness. So I don't have, uh, like, I don't have what I would consider face blindness, but I'm going to go through signs and symptoms of face blindness or prosopagnosia. Number one, you failed to recognize a close friend or family member, especially when you weren't expecting to see them. So I'm going to say no. I know my friends and family. I've stored their faces deep down in the whatever. So, yeah, that's a no. Number two, when you meet someone new, you try to remember their hairstyle or distinctive feature rather than their face. Um, yes. Well, kind of. So for me, when I meet a new person, I am usually not seeing their face on its own merit. What I am seeing is my brain is going through this. I don't know if you've ever seen those books where it's like child flat books, but where you can alternate different halves of a picture, um, or a toy where you can put the front end and the back end of an animal and all this stuff. So you can have the front of a zebra and the back end of a whatever rhinoceros. Um, well, that's kind of the way it is for me when I'm meeting a new person, where I'm trying to figure out. Usually, they resemble a person I already know, or a movie star, or a TV star, something like that. They are usually already have um, some recognizability that they don't uh, deserve based on me not having met them. But my mind is trying to figure out uh, one or two data points. And then from those one or two or three or more data points, I will extrapolate their, like, imagine it as a new contact. And it's just kind of flashing until I can figure out uh, who it is, which faces or facial features. Usually it's specific facial features, like it'll be, they have this person's eyes, eye area, whatever, this person's mouth or whatever. So it's um, a unique data point, but I can't really land it and solidify it until I've done that process. So like my face is always trying to figure out, like, that person looks familiar, because people I haven't met, they all look familiar. And sometimes I'll meet someone and they they look familiar, and one of the people they look like is someone else I don't know, but I've used their face as a reference point. There's a woman I know who, uh, like, I know her face as her face, but like, and demeanor and expressions, but like, I can't see these other three, no, two actresses, um, without, and a doctor I know. So like those four people kind of like are in the same area. It might be just the way you carry yourself. So if you got a drastically different haircut, it's not that I wouldn't recognize you, but it might be that I pull in someone else, like someone else. You now resemble someone else because of your haircut. If you lose a lot of weight, maybe you carry yourself a similar way, but different enough that you resemble someone else's body posture, and now that's a factor. All of the possible parameters, all of the properties um, are up for grab. So, like, I know multiple people who look like a different race version of someone else, um, often of a famous person. Um, and just because, like, it's not a hang up that, like, to say, like, well, you look like a white version of this person, because it's just like, well, you look like that person. It's not something I advise you to tell people, um, without knowing if they want to know this. Like, hey, you have so and so's, you have a nose just like so and so, or you have a mouth just like so and so, because people, uh, in my experience, don't know what to do with that, and they might look at faces differently. Like, the whole face. Like if you say you resemble so and so, for one, it just doesn't go over well, and it's just hard to describe to someone how, like, well, you have like a 80% match on your mouth with this person, but that coupled with um, some expressions you make that I can't really mimic back to you right now, it's a really good fit. No one knows what to do with that. I don't know what to do with that. Sometimes I just think, oddly, that telling them is what to do with that, and that's not it. Anyways, do you confuse characters in movies or on television more so than other people? Some people with face blindness avoid movies and television for this reason. Although one sufferer notes, I've never had problems with cartoon characters. No, I don't confuse characters in movies or TV. It can take a while if I'm watching a show like with new characters and trying to figure out like this person resembles these other people, and I can't, like, because it's not someone I interact with, that person doesn't merit getting their own new contact added, like as a whole person's face I need to remember. Especially if they're not a good actor, then it's like, well, I don't want to catalog you because I don't think you'll be on another show in the future. I don't need you as a reference point for other faces. Or people often just look generic to me uh, until I've teased out what it is about their face that's uniquely them and what it is about their face that reminds me of someone else. There's often a genericness to it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's most common, is that I'm not sure what to do with your face yet until I can see you start making expressions. And yeah, you have failed to recognize yourself in the mirror and or have difficulty identifying yourself in photographs. No, I feel like because of whatever aspect of face blindness I have, I and being a highly sensitive person, I am more in tune with the details of the faces, and so I know my face very well. And because I don't have a proficiency with uh, the written word, because it comes out too slowly, and you have to form ideas and you have to phrase them correctly. Like, that's much more of a challenge. So I've always been more visually stimulated, and so like I can I can do a self portrait, you know, to my satisfaction. And I recognize my face very easily because it's always been there. You've next one. When someone casually waves or says hello on the street, I don't know. That's too vague for me to answer. 6. When someone gets a haircut, you may not recognize them when you see them again. No, I'm pretty much going to recognize them again. I'm generally looking at the face and also picking up on uh, body posture and mannerisms. So like, I could probably recognize a person by the way they're walking, um, honestly, just as well as I could with their face. And it's not to say that my ability to recognize someone's face is that muted. It's that uh, I feel like and maybe this isn't abnormal, but like maybe I feel like I'm more aware of the way people carry themselves, to where they're pretty much even. 7. Number 7, you have difficulty recognizing neighbors, friends, coworkers, clients, schoolmates, etc. out of context. Yeah, that can take me a while. I've had conversations with people a few times where I walked away, um, and I realized, like, yeah, that wasn't the person I thought it was. And it was like, so they played along very well, because I remember one instance where I had a conversation with a person, and like based on what I was saying, I believe they would have had to have known pretty early on that they were not the person I thought they were, but they were polite and carried on the conversation, and then um, we went our separate ways, and I was like, that's not the person. That's not the person. In fact, I've never met that person that I just had a conversation with. I later realized I was telling them something about a situation with someone else that they resemble, and that's not common, but yeah, it has happened. It can take me a minute to recognize someone out of context. Uh, yes, there's a lot of instances there. That's really hard to get into, but um, yeah, for me, it's really about um, not being able to assign um, you your own contact information in my brain, basically, until I feel like we're going to be interacting sufficient in the future, such that it would justify that um, all that work that's involved, which is like kind of um, kind of like when you have to pay an application fee so they can process your application. It's kind of like that. It's a bit involved, and I need to have. Then I will go through and figure out like what all facial features you have, and how I can start to form long term memories of your face. Yeah.